So, I am Nikki and I've been using Clip Studio for so long, and one thing whenever I talk about Clip Studio that I get told pretty often is I don't understand the program. It's confusing or it's not as simplified as Procreate. And as someone who actually can't even use Procreate but finds Clip Studio way easier, I feel like it might be a bit of my duty to teach you guys how to use Clip Studio, because the program is so easy once you finally know it. It's just about getting to know it. That is that big first step. So this video is going to be a basic video about how to get through just one illustration. It's not going to have specifically all of your information that you might need. I'm going to do more specialized videos later on, but I'm just here to tell you what you need to know, what you don't need to know. And yeah, so this will help with time efficiency. You'll get stuff done quickly and effectively by following this tutorial. So yeah, I've been using the program for so long, I swear by it. So yes, and I do want to say some quick things before we get started. Number one, I'm not sponsored or affiliated with Clip Studio at all. I want to put this out there because a lot of the times this could seem like I'm doing this as an ad, but I'm doing this purely to tell you how to use it, because I think it is kind of unfortunate that people turn away this program because it seems more complicated. So my goal kind of with that is to teach you how to use it a bit more. And make it less scary, but I'm seriously not sponsored. I've not ever gotten a copy of this program as a sponsorship. I have gotten it with my own money, which when you swear by something that you've paid for with your own money, it should matter and the opinion should be even more valid than any other, because I seriously swear by this program. Swear by it. So with that being said, please enjoy this tutorial and I hope it helps you. One thing I will say is I am using the copy of EX, not of Pro, but the things that I will be showing you in this base video are available on Clip Studio Paint Pro as far as I'm aware. Though not everything will be. I will explain if I'm unsure, but you can always do a comparison and you can always use a free trial of Clip Studio if you're ever curious. Also, I'm not sponsored by Clip Studio, I just use it a lot, so yeah. Without further ado, let's open the program so we can actually see what we're doing. So, when you open Clip Studio, this is what you should be met with. Boom. So, this is your program, and yours might look a bit different to mine because I've been fiddling around with mine. Yours typically will look probably something around, maybe like around this sort of look. I can't really guarantee how your Clip Studio is gonna look because I have once again been using it for 7 years, so I have changed some settings, but it should relatively look like this. This side will be all of your tools, and yeah, you'll probably start on like just a basic zoom tool or the movement tool it typically opens to. I don't really fiddle with these much, but if you always hover, you can see what they do. Now, you have all your stuff up here, which your window obviously is what you control. You see, so if you're ever animating on Clip Studio and your timeline doesn't appear, you just go to window and you click that, and here's your animation timeline. Obviously, we're not doing animation today, so we're gonna close it. This is really all you need up. Your navigator should be open. These dropouts too are some more stuff. I don't really keep stuff open too much, but this is where you will find, if you do downloads, all of your files, which I can do a different separate video on the assets tool because it is really great to use, but I would recommend it, but that's not the point of this one. But typically I don't even open this and I just look for all of my assets through here, but I normally just keep them closed because this is way too much clutter. And then you've got your navigator here, which will show your artwork. You have your history, your auto actions, which I never use those. And then your layer properties, which obviously you'll see when there's actually canvas. And here's all your layer stuff. So we're gonna go to file. We're gonna just create a new canvas, and yours might be a preset. I'm just gonna have mine as a custom canvas. But you have your presets here. you can change the pixels and like all the units of measurement. You can change it to be like an A4 piece of paper, for example, or maybe you want something smaller. I don't really know. I actually didn't know that there was bees in paper until like I started using this. Here's your expression color is how it shows it. So if you're doing colored pieces, you'll always fall back to color anyway. So there's really no point. This is to change your color, so it will automatically change. This is still changeable afterwards without having to do like that whole draw over on a layer. But you can change it when you start, and this will automatically save for the next time you open a canvas. So if you typically draw in grey, you can immediately change it to grey. I don't know what template does. Okay, I don't normally use template. You don't need to use a lot of this stuff, honestly. It is really if you want to fiddle with it, but to make a basic illustration, you don't. So, and you can change the file name now. I normally change them later, but just for this, we're gonna change it to test, and yeah. So, here's what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set it to A5. My resolution and stuff it will automatically set. You typically, if you're going from printouts, want it to be around 300, but really depends. It does change the file size, obviously, but this is basically what we're gonna set it as, and we're gonna open it. So wow. Now we can see our layer properties have appeared, and more stuff's appeared down here. These have all been now set to available, and we can start using it. Okay, so I'm actually going to go and plug in my stuff to use my tablet, so this is easy demonstrated. So this video may get a bit long-winded. I'll try to get through stuff in relatively good time, but you can never tell. So this is just kind of your move layer stuff. I'm not really looking at any of this stuff for now. For now, when you get in your first thing, your probably first thing is I want to draw. So we'll go to one of these icons. These are normally your utilities up here. So just think about all these as utilities. These are a bit more of a specific use. They are a bit shuffled around. Honestly, your shapes probably, I believe, start up like around there. And then that should be like probably lower. That's probably a bit higher. That's the rule and all the shapes. They don't normally look, orders might be different, but the icons will all be the same. So we're going to go into here, and you're probably starting like a blank. And ignore this pen, but this will be, I might actually just knock that down so that way it's on our way. This is normally from G Pen to your textured pen. This is normally your default pens. If you have your drawing tablet connected, it should automatically have pressure sensitivity enabled. If it doesn't, you can go into settings. I might do a separate video just so that way it doesn't get muddled in this. But you know, when you have pressure sensitivity, let me not get it on 2000, let me get it like maybe 60. You can see that she works. So here's your pen in all of its glory. Actually though, when you first grab it, it could look something like this when you first grab it out, which still looks great, but you know, the way that my mouse tracks and stuff is in real time. And if you go and you look closely, you might catch it looking a bit crispy. This could be because of a low, like, you see the crunchiness of that compared to that. This is because of your anti-aliasing, so the higher it is, the smoother it essentially looks. So if you're going for a really crispy style, you might use something a bit to that. This just kind of blurs it out more. And there's just a straight, even so it really depends what you prefer. I'm going to go and delete this, which your shortcut for this will literally either be delete, or you can also go up here and it will completely erase your whole layer. So yeah, there's that. And yeah, so some things that you can do to the settings, obviously, is your brush size here. I do believe that they have automatic brush sizes. Also, you do not have to mess with this. This is like kind of your custom brush settings that you get into. I don't really fiddle with them. You don't have to. This pen works perfectly fine. I believe that there is somewhere where you can see brush sizes. Here they have some automatic ones. Sorry, I never use this. But you can just get like these. I never use these. I just, you know, go and eyeball it, and whatever works, which means I could probably have very inconsistent line work, but for now, I'm just showing you this. And now, when you see all those people draw a really smooth line art. Like, let's say I want to draw let's say I want to draw a heart, but I draw my heart and it ends up shaky because I don't have a stable hand. How do I get it like the people that draw it really nicely? This is your stabilization, which I do know works different to Procreate's. Procreate's is a bit different. I'm not a huge fan of Procreate's stabilization feature. I would really refer to Clip Studios as a lag. It really just kind of lags your brush behind, so it is smoother. Basically. So in comparison, if now I go and I draw, even if I'm drawing slow and I'm shaky, it's not going to pick up on it as much because of the stabilization. I even purposely shook my hand and you can see it a bit there, but it's just like way less shaky than the other one. So there is that. You also do have like post-correction stuff. I'm once again not huge on post-correction. I just think that it kind of messes up some stuff. But if you ever want to change your settings, you just go into the toggle here, the little gear icon, or is it a wrench? And here is where you can also change everything. This is really, though, seriously, when you're starting to get into custom brushes, you don't need it at all for anything. And your blend mode, this can change how your pen interacts. So let's say I change my pen mode. I wouldn't also recommend doing this because you can just get a layer to do it. But let's say I want my pen mode on multiply. What you will find is that if I go over this once and if I go over it again, it has overlap in a certain way, and it will just kind of do this depending on blend mode layer, but I normally don't fiddle with that. I don't really see the need to. It depends on what brush you're using, but for now, we'll just have a standard brush. Now, what you'll know actually is that this layer is a normal layer, but you see a few items here, like new raster layer, and then you have a new vector layer. Now, I always use the raster layers for coloring because they are the only ones that you can use the paint bucket on. However, and I will give you some great tips about the paint bucket too, which will save your life and efficiency forever, but for now, I'm going to show you what the vector layer does. So this layer is my lineup go-to. I do know it's available on Pro and EX. It is not available. There is another version of Clip Studio that you can get for free that is extremely limited. It is not available on that, but it is here. So what I'm going to show you is what this does. Now, this, first of all, one thing about this is that if you resize something, the vector layer shouldn't look really pixelated. Now, let's say we want this to be brought up to size. She's a bit crunchy, and then let's say we shrunk her back down, and we shrunk her, brought it back up. She's not looking too great. Now, with the vector layer, this should not be affected if I shrink her up, shrink her down, and then shrink her back up. See how she still maintains the perfect quality? And no, this is not because I shrunk her slightly less, this is just how it works. Because you will see that this is severely low quality now, and this is still the perfect quality. That's one main reason why vectors are used. They're commonly used in graphic design, but for now we're using them in an illustration. I just like using them if you ever need to resize, and there's also so many different things you can do with vector layers in Clip Studio. There's like an amazing amount. So I do want to show you those. First of all, let's say you are drawing a character. This is going to be really crap because I'm drawing it quickly. And you want your character to have ears, but you want the ears to hit slightly behind the hair. So you've drawn it like this, but like your ears are clipping here. Normally you'd probably just like go, like erase it with like a normal thing and blah blah blah. You'd like go and but no, you don't have to with vector layers, and that's the really great thing about them. Because you can go into your eraser and your vector eraser, and now so you'll have this setting on your vector eraser. When it comes default, it will come default like this. Erase touched areas. This erases every single what do you call it? Every single point. I don't remember the exact word. But I never have mine on this setting because this just really is inefficient and doesn't help. Whereas if you set it to the middle setting, erase up to middle, up to intersection, this is what it will do. Boom. It is like perfectly, it can sometimes glitch out, but normally it is pretty good that whenever something covers, it will erase it pretty flawlessly, and boom. How much time did that just save? So if you do complicated line art, I use this all the time. Literally, this is my left line with line art. It saves you from having to do multiple layers because you're worried about erasing something. Although sometimes I still use 1 or 2, but it saves it from being like 4 or 5. So yeah, there's that. Which is really great. This is a really great thing, but also that it's not the only thing you can do with vectors. So you can also, the control points. This is the points I'm talking about, is when you hover over them, look. There's a bunch of these little dots where you can change how it looks, which is really crazy. So you can change kind of like where things are going and stuff. You can also select a control point, pinch the line. It does that apparently. I don't really use this. I'm sure it's great for like getting points maybe. I'm just not really huge on this one. Simplify vector line is to turn the control points to being less. So if I do that now, there will be significantly less control points, which does make it easier if you're looking to adjust something. And then you'll have connect vector line, where I believe this is if you draw that and that. Please don't prove me wrong, because I'm pretty sure this is what it is. Okay, it's gonna prove me kind of wrong. There is a way that this works. Sorry, let me fiddle with this for a moment. Or I think it actually might be if these two overlap, they'll be their own separate entities, but I'm pretty sure if you do connect, they should. Okay, apparently not. Me when I lie. Okay, I can't really figure out why this isn't working, which is really funny because this is a tutorial. They're meant to connect the lines. I don't know why she's not. It does work, but clearly not as I'm trying to demonstrate it. But I don't really use her that much anyway. You can always use a control point to do that. Doesn't really matter. This one I use a lot is if you ever see people with weighted line art and you want to cheat the system, you do this. You can thicken it, you can narrow it in sections, you can change your brush size so that way you can do it in bigger chunks, and if I like really spam it, like you can get really thin. It's like, oh shit, that's too much, or oh, you want to add some more. She'll still remember everything that was behind her, and she'll come right back. Not exactly good as new if you make it look really scary like this, but you know, you can just kind of fiddle with it. I mean, obviously it's easier to just literally undo it if you ever find yourself a bit trigger happy, because obviously like that's a bit horrifying, and yeah, but you kind of get the idea. This is really great for weighted line art. I use this a lot as well, especially if you feel like your line art, let's say I just do like a line there and like, ugh, that's too flat for me. You can literally just narrow her up in the middle. You can kind of try to blend her a bit. You can thicken her a bit in some places if you don't think it looks amazing, and she'll just kind of have that extra weight that you might be really after, which changes like a line that looks like that to a line that looks like that. So that is something really amazing. I use it especially too if I'm trying to do really detailed bits. You might want it smaller. So yeah, vectors are really great. The downside is you can't use bucket tool. Maybe you can. I have not discovered that yet. If you can, I don't normally anyway, but I'm going to go and bring up some of my own art so I can now explain this next part, because I feel like a full illustration will help way better with this. Okay, here's some past line art I have done. This is actually a fully finished piece already, but besides the point. You can see, by the way, that I use that little slimming tool thing right in the middle. Now, if you see this thing, this is because I'm currently in a folder with no layer selected. Your folders are just there, and whenever you want to put something into a folder, you just drag it under till it has the cutoff bar, because if you don't, it just kind of takes it outside. see, it will be slightly more tucked in when she's a part of the folder. So yeah, that's just really quickly explained for anyone who is curious. But I typically put, if I want stuff to say separate, I just kind of combine them. Now, one really great thing is the fill tool. Although when you use the fill tool, you probably use it a bit like this. Probably use it on the same layer. You probably go like this and be like, okay, yeah, that's how my fill tool works. But oh, that actually made it look really okay. Kind of proving myself wrong here. Awkward. Oh god, what setting have I set this to where this actually works? Okay, no. So here is the perfect demonstration. Actually, it was too light of a color for this to pick up. What is this? The line around it, the ring, if you will. You will probably find that this will happen if you use it on the same layer. But there is something you can do to fix this, and you don't need it in a folder either. You can still have your layer like this. Now, this is also true if you like to use the fill tool, but you like your layers being separate. You can do this, which is really great, and seriously, it never fails me, is you swap to refer to other layers, and my close gap is slightly higher. Mine's set to a 3, which I think it actually might normally be set to 1 when you start using it, so you'll probably be looking at like that. I have it set to 3, I don't actually know why. What's close and fill? Oh. Yeah, oh, that's interesting. Can you tell I use this feature a lot? Nope, you can't because I just don't. That's pretty shitful. But refer to other layers is like, if you want to know what I use, this is it. This is the one. This is the Mamba Jamba. You'll still have to go in and correct your little corners and stuff, but it is what it is. But this, you can do on another layer. And like, where's the seam? Where's the seam that was just there? She's gone. And before you talk about that little, the little dot, this will happen no matter what, because it's too tiny for it to recognize it as a separate space, and it just doesn't fill it. So you do have to go and fill those in, but boom. And one thing that I found out not too long ago is if you hold down and drag it, you can fill multiple without even picking up your pen, which is really great if you're trying to get stubborn spots. Obviously don't go outside, but another really fun fact about this actually is if you're looking to recolor, let's just say I've also colored some of that in and some of that in black. This obviously doesn't make sense, but it's for an example. And if you want to color all of this to red, you can do that hold down technique. I might have accidentally hit the liner. Oh. Okay, so when I was coloring that, I clearly hit the liner. You're not meant to do that. Oh, wait, never mind. Hold on. That's because I had referred to other layers on. That is one thing to keep mindful of if you do have that on. Sorry. So you can hold down. Oh, you're still not meant to be doing that. What are you doing? Oh, because this layer is red. Okay, bad example. Really bad example, actually. Sorry. Forgot. So, okay, let's say we want to turn red to blue then, because clearly I'm tripping nuts. Red to blue. You can do the hold down technique again, but if I go out, it's not gonna color it because it will only color what you first started holding down. So you can go and have this colored, and let's say now I want to color this section yellow. You can go ahead, color all over it, and it just will color everything that was not previously yellow. So that's what I use to do literally all of my coloring when it is like my illustrations where I use line art, which I always normally use the G pen. I used to be a pretty big fiend for the marker pen for some reason. I wouldn't recommend necessarily using these because the issue is because they stay the exact same the exact same width the whole time. When you go back to complete a line, it's very obvious. So I probably wouldn't recommend those. I'm not really someone, also a lot of these aren't even in your base of Clip Studio. I'm not really someone who fiddles with it too much. Also, you should actually only normally have two. It should just be marker and pen, not confetti. This is because I downloaded stuff. Anyway, so yeah, and we already know, like, also because this is a rastered layer now, just to show you, the vector layer will not, this pen, or this eraser won't do shit. It won't do what it's meant to do. She'll just work in the same way, but let's get back our layers here, although they're separate, so I might just merge them to make this point, and then boom. Also, this will only, oh wait, no, this should work on separate layers, but it won't erase everything. So this is also something really great about this, is it will still register other layers that it's overlapping. So like, let's say boom, it will still know that like it is overlapping, although that was the same layer, but like, this is a great example. So I'm going to go on the body layer, which is just this one, because I'm flicking it on and off. Boom, it will still register that that is another layer. So it does work with multiple layers, which is really great and really helpful. So yeah, that is something good to know. Speaking of, obviously, this is your hide button, this is your select button. You can hold down and drag to select multiple at once. Now I feel like I've explained things a bit out of order, but that is your basis for line art and base coloring. Now I will get into your more detailed coloring. So let me go once again and rub this artwork of the stuff, because I've resized this definitely is not perfect, so please ignore that. This is not the original dimensions of the canvas that I drew this on. Now, first of all, if you're like me, who goes to create a new layer to do your shading, and then you're a numbnut and you go back on your normal layer and you do this, sorry, first of all, I don't have a fix for you here, but to avoid it happening in future, whenever you're done your coloring layer, just hit the lock button right here, and it will make your layer uneditable in any sort of way. So you can't transform it, you can't do anything to it. Obviously, if you want to do something, you just unclip it, but yeah. Now, secondly, if you're going to start shading on your thing, and let's say that you go and blah blah blah, oh god, I'm going out of the canvas, I've got to erase it. No, you don't. Just use the clipping mask right here. This is your clipping mask. It might look different to some other programs, but it is as simple as that, and you just toggle it on and off whenever you want to. Now, one thing to note, obviously, if you're not aware, is a clipping mask will not, it does not exclusively clip to, sorry, that's an eraser. It does not exclusively clip to the layer just below it. It clips to the original non-clipping mask layer. So if you're trying to do, something on a clipped layer, like that is a part of it, you will have to unclip it, merge it down, and then reclip it, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. Although, yeah, it is a bit of a pain in the ass. It just will work that way. I was trying to think if there was a solution to that, but as far as I'm aware, no. Now, speaking of the color blue, actually, for shading, what do we want to do with our shading today? Oh, hello. Okay, so we're gonna get this clipping mask back. Beautiful. We're gonna just erase that for now. And good old clipper mask. What do we want to use this to do? And why are we using blue? Well, first of all, you don't have to use blue. But if you've used layer effects before, then you might know where I'm going with this. If you're brand new to digital art, you might not be aware. If you're someone who's used another program in the past, you probably are. This is when we're getting into fun stuff, easy stuff. This is baby stuff. If you don't want to learn color theory, you go and you do this. So, blah, 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 blah. I color the parts that I want shaded. I want there. I want boom, boom. I want some stuff there. I want a line. Oh, not like that. That's what happens when I'm looking at my laptop screen and not my actual drawing tablet screen. It gets crooked. You want stuff there. Yes, I want shading there, there. Boom, boom, boom. You just kind of block it out. I'm just blocking it out really quick so I can demonstrate this. Obviously, yours will be way nicer and way cleaner. And if it's not, that's okay. Because maybe that's the style you're going for. Either way, I'm sure it looks kick-ass. Anyway, we're blocking this out. We're blocking this out. We want all the shadows here. We want them now. What we're gonna do is, which this is the really great holy grail of all artists, is we're gonna go to this. This is your blending mode right up here, right next to you. Also, this is your opacity, by the way, which already, this can kind of work as a shading if you really want to go this way, but notice how it's really light on the grays. This is your fix. Now, some people might choose to use darken. I'm a multiply warrior, so that was not the right one. Multiply looks really nice, and boom, and it will stay darker than the color underneath. So this is a pretty big standard with all artists, and see, automatically. And now, obviously, like, this is way too hard, which there's a few ways you can deal with this. One, you could go to the airbrush here, click down here to get a clear, or fun fact, what I learned is that if you hit C, it also turns to clear. Holy crap. But yeah, and you can kind of just airbrush away. Now, if you find this is like working way too quick for you, just go and turn down the brush density. It'll just make it softer. I tend to go with a higher thing too, so that way it feels even more fluffy. You can just go like this, kind of line up the edges. I really like this because it also gives the look of like sharp yet not so sharp line up, because it still does keep the shape underneath, which you do lose the shape underneath if you choose to go the route of, like, example, blurring. Like, you don't keep the obvious drawn out places and stuff. So if you do want to have that blurred look but it's still like cell shading, this is definitely the kind of route that you want to go for. And I love doing this. I use this quite a bit in my art as well. But yes, you can use this to soften it up. Don't have to. It has to be a specific style that I'm doing this for normally, but you can also just literally turn down the opacity. And if you're finding that this color isn't exactly hitting for you, you can go unmask it, which will look a bit stupid for now, but this will allow you to remask stuff over it. Another really common one is a dark red. This is what I started off using way back in the day, but I just find it looks a bit too murky for me now, especially with some things. I mean, it doesn't really, but you know, I'm not a huge fan of the dark red. I'm gonna be so honest, it's not my favorite. I typically lean towards a dark grayish purple or a dark grayish blue. Which honestly, this is very close to black, so that honestly looks a bit murky too, but I don't know, I just kind of prefer these ones. And now, remember to make sure that your opacity's up before you go and merge them down, because then your opacity, if you have your opacity down for the lower layer, it's just going to go back to 100, and then you can't edit it back up, so do keep that in mind as well. Now with that being said, boom, we've gotten a shaded color, and we can reclip that, and wow! Wow, wow, wow. We've got some shading. Now, for highlights. Fun fact, I've used quite a few programs and I cannot find this layer effect in any other one. So this might be a Clip Studio exclusive. If you know another program that uses this one specifically, do let me know. The alternative to my personal, or just drop my pen, my personal favorite color effect, my favorite color effect whenever I do highlights is Glow Dodge. Color Dodge is commonly seen in others. Color Dodge looks a bit like this. It's great for lighting, don't get me wrong. But I'm a Glow Dodge warrior, which does make it look slightly different. I just like how it interacts with the dark spots more, I guess. It interacts in a really fun way. Which you lose in Color Dodge. It's just the way that it catches light is really interesting. Like, this looks to me way more in depth. Another common one that a lot of people use, Aglow. The thing about Aglow is this is really if you want to keep a white color, if you really want to add this like glow, but it's not necessarily suitable for every single situation, and I find it can wash out some colors like a deep blue where because obviously this all looks really pastel, but if you go to Glow Dodge, it does keep some of that saturation a bit more. So that's why I personally lean towards that one. Now that one is a Clip Studio exclusive, as far as I'm aware. but there are the alternatives. But this is definitely my favorite, and I don't know why other programs don't have it. But one thing that I really like to do is really simple for hair is like I will go and I'll get like a color and I'll do a little stripe, and obviously it's in her face, just ignore it, just pretend it was only on the hair, and then I'll fade it out a bit, and it makes such a cool effect. So you will see this so commonly in my art. It's like actually like one of my staples, I'd like to say. And this also does really great for eye highlights and everything of the other, so this is really great. Now let's say though you want some mood lighting. Also, this is how you change the paper layer. I'll probably reshuffle this to be earlier in the video, but you just have your paint bucket there, and this is what I mean by it's completely editable, and it just does the whole thing for you. Also, remember to add the clipping mask. Don't be like me and forget. Now, there also is some different features. These are exclusive to EX though, where you can use like AI to do automatic shading. It's good if you're feeling lazy. I'm not going to show you how to do that in the tutorial. It's pretty self-explanatory. It is in edit and it's shading assist, but you know, it's gonna crack the shits at me, and I don't really use shading assist, and it kind of just spawns a bunch of layers. You have more control doing it this way, so do keep that in mind. It really depends how much control you want. Now, what we're gonna do here is, and let's say I don't like how she's cropped in on this canvas. Really quickly, you're gonna use this to just crop the canvas like that. Wow, look, boom, now she's there. All my problems are solved. So yeah, that's a quick solution to some things. Now, what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna go and chuck all these in a layer as I normally would. And we're gonna go now and add more shading, because this is cool, but this also doesn't look like enough, and you might want something like this that looks really badass, but this isn't giving it. This is not giving what she's meant to. But this is actually really, although it's not as like carefully detailed, this is extremely achievable from this point. Also, I normally like to add a little bit of white highlights, but I won't do that today because that's just with a normal pen. But yeah, we're gonna show you how to get here from here. Now, you can choose, if you want to just do some straight mood lighting, to go this route and just, once again, do that, multiply, boom. Wow, you're in a dark area. You can also lighten this up by just, you know, fading some stuff. I normally do. I don't like my faces feeling really dark, so I normally tend to brighten those up. But wow, you've already added some cool shading that is way more in depth than what you just had prior. But there's more. Then you can also add your glow dodge, because I'm biased towards glow dodge, and you can go orangey or something, or and then you can add some highlights. Lighten up the face. Specific parts, you can even, we felt adventurous doing some of that. Add your clipping mask again, don't forget. Don't be weird like me. Get your clipping mask, because yeah, you'll notice really quick if you've forgotten it though, so it's all good. And it is fixable. But yeah, so you can have it like that, and boom, how much better does that look already? With 2 extra layers, you can turn boring lighting like this into sick ass lighting like this. Boom, already fixed. But let's say I don't like the colors. First of all, let's change the color back to something a bit more red, like my original, and let's add a gradient, because this is feeling a bit flat. So there's like different ways that you can use gradient. They'll have some presets, but this is the easiest gradient you can do. Is foreground to background. Literally, your one color on your sidebar will be this, like the first one, and the other one will be the second one. Just edit it like that. You can do like a dark red to that, and then just drag it down. And you can literally just kind of keep on doing this until you see one you like. And then if you want more colors, just literally get this, go back to your main color, and like drag it up more. Bang! How beautiful. It looks so good. It looks amazing. Spectacular. So yeah, and I use some splatters and stuff in the background here to texture it all. You don't have to do that. If you want though, it's really simple. you can get a textured brush. I'm going to use the gouache one because that is a Clip Studio standard, and kind of just patter it on. I do know I use multiply typically, and I may not use a color like that. I might use a color like a deep red, so that way it has a bit more depth as it goes across the canvas, and it's not too dark. And then if I want it darker, I just add some darker spots. Wow, so artsy, so cool. Seriously, it is so easy to use this program once you know it. It's just, I remember too when I first started, this program was so bloody confusing to start off, but I recommend it. So yeah, boom, automatically too. It's added so much more depth yet again. And now, still though the colours don't seem too uniform, she seems a bit cold and, you know, the rest feels like that. Well, you could go and manually change the colours, but who the frick wants to do that? When you can just get a layer and fiddle with a soft light or hard light setting. Which, there's an actual technical terms. Someone on, like, Reels and Instagram and stuff, they explain this better than I ever could. I can't explain it like them. They talked about how it affects hue and saturation. I'm just gonna say it colors it, and you can fiddle with it. I typically don't actually know what I'm doing. I just kind of fiddle with it. That already looks amazing. But if you're finding it's too much, if this is too like saturated for the color you're adjusting it to, number one, this just makes it brighter. This makes it darker. Wow, crazy. But if you're finding that this is adjusting the colors too much, just take it to the gray side and it will adjust it less. So you're going for a really certain color look, that's how you do it. And boom, this is really great. But if you also want to make it look slightly different, you can also do a gradient to this, which I do a lot. If I feel like, example, the bottom of it's really dark, so I might drag up this side just a little bit of a gradient, which does change it from being that bit darker to feeling a bit lighter in color. I wouldn't adjust it too much though, but yeah. So boom, it changed that to all warm tones. Beautiful, amazing. She's working as she should. And that is basically how you can get that done. So yeah, that literally went in like maybe 20 minutes from something basic to wow. I think this might contribute to why I get my artworks done so quick. It is seriously so easy to do amazing lighting. You just need to know where to go. And if you want to know, my airbrush tip is don't use the hard airbrush. It's too harsh unless if you're looking to do something really specific. I always use the soft. And the shadow one has a certain layer effect, so it actually does not work unless you're using it on the same layer. And who wants to do that? We like to keep our layers separate around here. So yeah. Now here's another little tip that I do. If I don't think I did it on this one. No. Can we talk about why the shading on the new one looks better? Anyway, that's a choice. But if you may know, sometimes I like to add a bokeh effect, and you can do it really easily. Now, my bokeh effects, I actually do turn the brush opacity down in the layer one, because the difference here is if you turn the brush opacity down, it will do a little overlap there. But if I don't do that, and I just turn the layer opacity down, it just doesn't do the same thing. So that's another little life hack there. But yeah, if I ever want to add a bokeh effect, I just kind of get a brush and I kind of dot them using different pressure on my pen to make them different sizes. You know, you go with this, there. Then I go really quickly into here, glow dodge, boom. It already looks great, but if you don't like harsh circles, just go here, go to blur. Not that one actually, because that one automatically does it for you. You're gonna go to Gaussian blur, because this is when you get an adjuster, and make sure the preview's ticked on, just so that way it can render for you, so you can see how blurred it's gonna be. Then don't just adjust it to what you like, and then boom. And if you want to do an overlay watermark, which I've kind of just spoiled how you do it by saying the name, I typically go to a white, and let's say I want my watermark here. This is not what my watermark looks like, by the way. Just add an overlay layer, and it does this really cool clip over basically anything. I typically don't actually brand my art that big. I normally have it pretty small. because it never gets stolen anyway. But yeah, I personally like this effect, but you can choose anything. No one's stopping you. But this is definitely my favorite, is overlay for this stuff. Now, I'm not saying that you have to biblically use, by the way, the layers that I suggested or the adjustments that I suggested. It is completely up to what you find suitable for your art style. I personally really like how how it looks when I do it my way, but my way is my way. Not necessarily everyone's, though. If you want it to be easy, that's how you do it. So hopefully after that you feel a bit more comfortable with the program. Obviously I didn't go through everything today, because 40 minutes is already really long. But I will have more videos out eventually that will discuss more things that you can do with the program in a bit more depth. And if you have any specific questions, feel free to comment them and I can try to answer them to the best of my abilities. But that being said, this video is literally how to get from one point of an artwork to the other. And everything else is kind of just filler from that point on to make it look extra snazzy or to do certain things. So this is your basic tutorial. Boom. You can now make something on Clip Studio Paint as seen in this video, which, by the way, is pretty much real time. I think I only maybe cropped out a max of like 5 to 10 minutes of footage, so no joke. You can really finish stuff in Clip Studio like that. It's super easy once you know. Anyway, if you did like this, then maybe drop a like. Not saying you have to, but it does help me to know, and it does also help it reach more people so they can go and get help if they need, and they can go and try out the program too. And if you know someone who's been wanting to try the program, yeah, here's your tutorial for it. That being said, thank you so much if you sat through the whole thing, or even if you sat through a snippet and you came to watch my outro. Thank you. That's so kind of you. And I'll see you next time. Next time I do one of these, most likely. Anyway, bye bye.